What do Heartstopper and Rocky Horror have in common? I'll get to that in a second. The Heartstopper era has come to an end, and I can't help but wonder, what are queer people allowed to fantasize about? This has largely been contested since, well, at least in our case, the 500 years since the printing press. But really, ever since the dawn of the spoken word, people have had opinions on gay people. And who can blame them? We are a fascinating bunch. It seems like the concept of queerness is an ever-present fixture in people's minds. If I'm gonna be honest, it feels like straight people think about gay people more than gay people think about ourselves. There is no shortage of opinions on how queer folk should conduct themselves, even within their own imaginations. And this is nothing new. For centuries, there have been laws put in place to try and deter us from even thinking about being ourselves. In fact, it is only recently that we have been able to be so open on TV and film. And I'm not talking about sideline characters either. From the mid-2000s to around 2021, there was a decent rise of queer characters front and center. Some have even been created by queer creators. But this begs the question, why are we so harsh on queer stories? It is a common critique of Heartstopper that it is unrealistic, that it is wish fulfillment slop, and that there is no way that two teenage boys could ever have a caring, long-lasting relationship. There are critiques of how they met, how they date, and why they haven't done the deed. And spoiler alert, you're going to love Heartstopper forever. But I'm not even going to touch on the fact that people felt entitled to see two characters who were minors up until the final movie consummate their relationship. My question is, what is queer fantasy and who gets to have it? Since the beginning of time, the heterosexual imagination has come up with sugary, trope-filled concoctions. And I, along with billions of other people, eat it up every time. One of my favorite movies is When Harry Met Sally. Some would even argue that this is one of the more realistic of the rom-coms. But even the creators Rob Reiner and Nora Ephron have stated that in reality, Harry and Sally most likely wouldn't have ended up together. And this is a story about two people slowly becoming friends and then slowly falling in love. Now I know that some people may say that these stories could inundate people with unrealistic expectations. Well, I would say that that would be an excuse to throw away the concept of fantasy entirely, and thus throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I want to highlight that straight people get to indulge in fantasies, turn off the TV, and go off and be normal, well-adjusted citizens. For the most part. I think that it is a very niche group of disturbed people that believe that rom-coms should actually translate to real life. There are plenty of people who watched The Summer I Turned Pretty, fantasized about two guys fighting over them, and then woke up to the reality. Part of being a teenager is fantasizing over romance and being met with the realities of life. It is a fact of life, and gatekeeping rom-coms isn't going to change that. Rom-coms are warm blankets and candy. It's good from time to time, but you can't spend your whole life under the covers eating sweets. Then there are the people who believe that Heartstopper isn't the right kind of fantasy. It's not a fantasy written by a gay man, so it's inherently unrealistic. I found this interesting because Heated Rivalry was written by a woman, and gay men ate it up, along with the female fans. Many queer men related to its cruisy, steamy atmosphere, yet Heartstopper's softer and slower story didn't get the same emphatic applause, especially when the show first came out. Many gay men said that it wasn't realistic for a twink to fall in love with a jock and have a group of queer friends. But why not? And why does it have to be? Why do queer stories always have to be gritty and realistic? I think that we have plenty of those. And why do straight people get to have thousands of movies about sweeping declarations of love, but a story of two queer men waiting to be ready to get in bed is met with eye rolls? I know it can be hard to believe that there are gay men out there who have different ways of going about romance and intimacy. Heartstopper's way of going about romance is no better than the quote-unquote norm, whatever that means. It's just different. I think that Heartstopper is just made for a certain type of gay man in the same way that Looking is made for a certain type of gay man. Both are sharing the ups and downs that come with their lives and by extension, their fantasies. And now we can finally get to Rocky Horror. Rocky Horror in particular shares a sentiment that can be felt within all of these creations. Rocky Horror at its core is all about feeling your fantasy enough to create it. Dr. Frankenfurter only cares about making one thing, his dream man. And his dream man is a blonde tan Adonis with washboard abs. Now, should we treat this specific queer fantasy as the end-all be-all for queer fantasies? No. So why do we think that Heartstopper is supposed to? What these pieces of media are supposed to do is give us permission to live out our specific fantasies. Albeit Rocky Horror does it more diegetically as it is in the text, and Heartstopper shows it more in how Alice Oseman is so open about giving the queer community stories of hope, romance, and belonging. It's all about pushing queer fantasy from the mind to the screen to reality. Hi, Editing MJ here. I just wanted to reiterate that when I mean fantasy, I'm talking about like the lowest of the low of fantasies. I'm talking about, I don't know, maybe getting a bouquet of flowers or having a midnight smooch with your SO, or even in a queer person's case, finding somebody who loves them and maybe having a group of queer friends who also love them as well. I am in no way talking about people running up the Empire State Building, people being able to read your mind after a miscommunication, people tracking you down and stopping you at the airport before you get off on your flight for the job that you always wanted. I'm not talking about that. So I just wanted to reiterate that before people come in and say, oh my God, but you're talking about that people shouldn't follow rom-coms. Like, no. There are some fantasies that are realistic and that we can strive for. All right, thank you. I also think it goes without saying that it has taken us a long time to get to this point when it comes to queer media, and yet it is still not enough. We've gone from the pansies of the 1930s to the Hays Code to AIDS storylines in the 80s to Will and Grace to Glee to Heartstopper and now to Heated Rivalry. And I didn't even get to mention all the other queer stories that people had to fight for just to get made. Yes, they all have the similarity of being queer storylines, but they are all so different in the ways that they show queer lives and by extension, queer fantasies. Are all of them perfect? No. I don't think any of them are perfect. But if straight people can have, at this point, millions of stories about them falling in love and going off and living their lives and they don't have to be perfect, then I think that we deserve the same thing as well. And at a time where queer stories are starting to feel pushback, I think now more than ever, we don't need to be too harsh on what makes quote unquote right representation. I think it's safe to say that Heartstopper has been made in good faith, and any queer media that tries its best to humanize us and give us the chance to dream is a win in any capacity. And just remember, if you don't see your fantasy on screen, you can always create it.